YouTube. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can take the data from a static HTML form and store that data inside a database in Laravel. Now, in the last episode, we built an interface for our application. Remember, we're building a ticket system. And for our ticket system, we built this interface. This is going to be the landing page, and over here, the user can click on Create Ticket. Then this form will show up. It's just a static HTML form where the user can write down their name, their email address, and their message. After that, they can submit it. If I do it right now, nothing's going to happen because it's all HTML. So let's make it so that the server takes this input and it stores it inside a database. To do that, let's exit out of this, and we're going to add it to our split screen on the right side. And let's open up our code editor and let's move it to the right. And over here, also make sure you have npm run dev running inside your terminal. That's going to compile all the assets and it's going to look nicer. Otherwise, it's going to look like there's CSS missing everywhere. Now in here, we're going to add a new terminal window. Click on the plus icon. And in this new terminal window, we're going to run the following command: php artisan make model, and you're going to hit enter. And in here, we're going to specify the object that we're creating. In our case, we're creating a tickets database. Now, since we're creating a tickets object, we're going to use a singular form because the model just creates one record, or I'll show you in just a second. So just type down ticket. We're going to use a singular form, not tickets. So hit enter. And in here, it's going to ask if we want any of these files. We want the migration file. So go over that and then hit spacebar and then hit enter. And that's going to go ahead and create the following two files. It's going to create the ticket.php inside our models, and it's going to create a migration file. So let's go ahead and move to our ticket.php. And in here, we have a basic skeleton of a model in Laravel. In here, we're actually going to add a property, and we're going to add the property protected table. And we're just going to specify that the table that we're creating is tickets. Now, this is not necessary, but I do recommend it. Sometimes you can have issues with the names, so then it won't pick up the name. Now, just specify that the name of our table is going to be tickets. Go ahead and save this model, and then let's see the other file that it created, and that is this file, which is a migration file. Now, a migration file is basically, it's gonna tell our database which tables we need to create and which columns on those tables we need to create. In our case, it's creating a new tickets table, and we're gonna specify these columns. So it's gonna by default create an ID, which is gonna identify that ticket, and it's going to add the timestamps. So it's going to add the created at and the updated at timestamps automatically. Now in here, let's add a new migration column. So we're going to add a new column called the name. So do table, string, and we're going to name that string, we're going to call it name. So that's going to be this piece of form that's going to go there. And in here, let's add the email like that. We're just gonna keep it as a string for now. And we're gonna go ahead, and we could add the subject, but I don't think that's necessary for now. Or actually, let's add the subject right there. And let me actually add the subject at the top. So we're later also gonna add the subject field over here. But this is everything that we're gonna need for now. Let's also add a status indicator that will tell the user the status. We're going to add table, and we're going to create an enum column. Inside the enum column, we're going to have the status, and the status can either be open or closed. The default behavior is going to be open. And let's go ahead and save this file. And now you can also add other status like open, pending, closed, review, that sort of stuff. We're just going to do open and closed. That is pretty much it for this part. Let's go ahead and save this, and we're going to move on and migrate the database. So php artisan migrate, and that's gonna go ahead and create those two columns for us. That's all done. Now what we need to do is come to the tickets ticket, and we're gonna add the fillable fields. We're gonna create the fillable fields like this, and the subject, the name, the email, and the status. Let's go ahead and save it. Now let's actually create a new route where our form is going to be submitted to. To do that, come here to your routes file. We're going to create a new route. We're going to create a post route, which is going to go ahead and create the ticket. So it's going to post to the tickets, and actually let me make this create. We're going to do store and then tickets.store. So make sure it looks like this, and inside of our HTTP controller, we're gonna add a new store method. So let's go ahead and create a new store method, public function store. We're gonna validate the request, and let's actually import Laravel's request class. Actually, let me just do everything from scratch so you guys understand what's going on. So first of all, we're gonna use the request class, and in here, make sure you import the class like this. What this class allows us to do is validate the data that is coming in. We're gonna make sure that every field is set, and we're gonna make sure that every field is as it should be. So this is to prevent any kind of attacks by hackers. Laravel does majority of the stuff, like they can prevent MySQL injections, but we also need to validate the input because you can never trust the user's input. So in here, let's go ahead and do the request validate. We're gonna call this method and close it. Then we're gonna create an array. Inside the array, let's add the name field. So name is required, and let's add the email, which is required, and let's add the subject as well. So the name is going to be required, the email is going to be required, and it's going to check if it's actually an email, and the subject. Now for the email, a user could put in a spam email address like example at this, and then they can just do .com. To prevent people from entering fake email addresses, we can use the following parameters, which is RFC and DNS. This is going to check if this domain actually exists on the web. Now this is a bit slower than your conventional. It's going to slow down the application just a bit, but it's just to be secure. It's not going to be by too much. For example, if the domain is gmail.com, it's going to allow it, but if it's some random domain that doesn't exist, it's not going to work. Okay, so now that's done. Let's go ahead and create the ticket, and we're going to do that by request all. Now before we use the request all, it's better that we use validated data, and in here we're gonna put our validated data, and we're gonna return redirect, and we're just gonna redirect the user back after the ticket has been created like this. And let's see, do we have the name, email address, and message? I'm going to show you how we can create the message later on, because it involves some creating another model, which is going to come in a second. So in here, let's go to our view, and inside our view, let's find this create file, and we're actually going to add another form field, which is going to be the subject. Subject, and in here let's make the subject. Let's go ahead and save this. As you can see, we have all the necessary fields. Now before we can make this form working, we have to give them all a name. So when the user submits, the application knows which model belongs to which piece of validation data. So we're going to give it name, and we're going to give this a name of subject, and we're going to give this a name of a name. We're going to give this a name of email, and we're gonna give this, we're gonna just leave empty for now. Let's go ahead and save our form, and let's see if this is a submit button. That all looks good. Now that's done, we can add the submit route over here. We're gonna do now, just make sure that you, in the action, you're gonna add the route, which is gonna be tickets.create like this, which is the route that we created earlier right here. And you're gonna add the method is post. Now that that's done, we're gonna also add the CSRF tag with @CSRF like this. What this is, it's basically for CSRF protection. That's a sort of thing that hackers use to cross-site script and other sort of stuff. So make sure that this is added here. And after that, let's go to our controller, and in here we're actually gonna go ahead and add another line just for temporarily. And in here we're just gonna do dead and drop request all. What dead and drop does is it takes all the data that is submitted or inside this, and it's gonna lay it out for us so that we can easily read what the user submitted, just to see if everything's working. In this subject, let's add test at gmail.com, and let's hit submit. And as you can see, we have the subject, we have the name, we have the email, and it's all coming in as we should have expected. Go back and go ahead and save this, and now we can go back and it should now create the ticket for us. Let's go ahead and put the name, example test at gmail.com, and let's go ahead and submit. And it says that the class ticket is not found because we didn't import the model. Now make sure that you include the model like this with the use app models and tickets. Let's go ahead and save and try that again. Test at gmail.com. Go ahead and hit submit. And as you can see, it didn't do anything because we didn't tell it to do anything yet. It only creates the record like this. So make sure it actually created it. To do that, we can use something called Tinker, PHP Artisan Tinker inside your terminal. And in here, we're going to use app /models /ticket. And we can do like this, and we can do all. We can actually get rid of the use tag because we're just gonna use it right here. And as you can see, it created the ticket with the subject test, the name, and the email. So that's all working. Now what we're gonna do now is show an alert when the user submits the ticket. We're gonna show them a nice alert that the ticket has been submitted successfully. To do that, let's first find the alert that we're gonna use. Go to the Flowbyte website, and we're going to the docs, and inside the docs, let's find the alerts right here. We're going to copy that success alert, which is this. Go ahead and hit copy, and in the create area, just go ahead and paste it in there. Go ahead and save this form. And as you can see, we have the alert, but we only want to show this alert when we want it to. So actually, let's add some margin to the bottom, and let's add some margin to the top, both 6. Okay, that looks a bit better. So in order to make it so that the alert only appears when we want it to, we can use something called sessions in Laravel. To do that, do if session has, and if it has success, we're gonna go ahead and do an endif tag, and we're gonna print the message that the session has, session get success. So just like that, we're gonna go ahead and hit save, and as you see, the alert disappears. Now to make the alert appear, we can go back to our controller, and in here we can do redirect back, and in here we'll add something called with success and our message, ticket created successfully. So now if we go ahead and create our ticket, so test test, and let's go ahead and actually we need to make this an email. Let's go ahead and submit. It says ticket created successfully. Now if something goes wrong, it won't show that message. And let's actually also add the method that will show the error messages if something goes wrong. So come here, let's actually go to the input field, and inside the input field we're going to look for this error message, which is right here. Go ahead and copy that, go back to our crate, and we're going to add it for all of our inputs. So in here we're going to add one here. Let's see how it looks. It looks like this. That's fine. And in here, let's do an if function, or we're actually going to use the error directive. And inside the error directive, you can do error subject and error. And we're going to show the message, which is going to be right around here. It's going to be the message. Now go ahead and copy this. We're going to reuse it a bunch of times. I'm going to add it here. And instead of subject, we're going to do name. And we're also going to add it right here in the email address field. We're going to copy the email and make sure this corresponds to the name of the element. So that's all that we're going to do for now. And let's see what happens if we don't fill in a field or we make a mistake. Test at .com. Go ahead and submit. And as you see, the email field must be a valid email address. As I showed you, when you put in a fake domain, it's going to always return an error. And now also we can use other rules, like for example, if we want the name to be a minimum of 3 characters, we can use minimum 3. So let's go ahead and save this. And if we try to submit, tests, and we're just going to do TE, not 3 characters, and test at gmail.com, and that actually created it. Let me see, did we actually save this field? Oh, we did it for the name. We were supposed to do it for the subject. Okay, let's try it again. Test TE, test at gmail.com. So for the name field, it's going to show an error now because we specified the name over here. So as you can see, that's all working. It will show you the exact error. And yeah, it's going to store the ticket inside the database. That is it for this video. In the next video, I'm going to show you how we can, after the ticket has been created, redirect the user to their ticket, and how they will be able to see their ticket, create new messages, and that sort of stuff. So if you're interested in that, stick along and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.